I've got I only have I only have a couple of slides, so I basically let you, Damien and Simon, run the show. Uh, can I get an idea from the people online if you're the very first timer? Because if you are, we can spend a bit more time explaining how the project work. But if you're already familiar with Data SageMaker, it's all good. But who's brand new to the community? Show of hand, and maybe in the chat, if you can maybe say where you're calling from. So I'm Frederick. I'm calling from Australia, and I'm already on the weekend. It's 9 p.m. where I live, and it's very early in Canada for Vanita.
Yeah,
And you guys are in the middle, and
7 a.m.
Simon
for
and
me. So yeah.
it's not too bad. So welcome to our. I think that's our second of event of the year. We were lucky to work with Damien and Simon when we were part of this for social good. So we know they're an amazing org, doing an amazing thing for the community. Let me share my screen. I also want to acknowledge, obviously, Vanita is on the call. We might have other folks from the Data SageMaker committee to also join. I'm just having a quick look. So let me share my screen and I'll show you, explain what we're doing. If I can find. Can you see the placeholder slide? So as I said, we super happy to welcome Simon and Damien from Noise Solution. So Simon has been the CEO and Damien the operation director. So you guys are helping the youth through music, which I think is an amazing service. And then we're lucky to work with you guys 2 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago. Time flies.
Yeah.
And we know you've got amazing data, amazing mission. So super thrilled to be able to help you again. So agenda is there's not too many slides, as I said. So most of the time would be for Simon and Damien, or Damien and Simon, whoever wants to talk, to basically explain our volunteers, who you are, what you do. If you have time, Damien, to just show us the data. If you jump into the Excel file and explain the data. I also want to spend some time showing the volunteers the project webpage and where to find the data and then the brief. You wrote a comprehensive brief document that would help the charities and also explain the way we work. So that's really good for new volunteers that join the project. But we have 4 to 5 weeks kind of project plan. But I just want to explain that if you guys are just joining the project. And obviously make sure that you can get to Slack and then we can give you access to Slack and so on. So I think that's all I wanted to say as an intro. So now I'm happy to welcome either Damien or Simon or both. I don't know if you can do a duo, but over to you guys now.
Okay, I'll kick off. We had such an amazing experience last time with you guys. The ideas that you brought to our quantitative data were just amazing, and so much stuff that we just hadn't crossed our mind. The skills and the enthusiasm and the amount of work you all put in was fantastic. And since then, things have developed quite considerably. And we've got a new challenge for you, which I believe to be quite unique and really, really exciting. I'm going to give, for those that don't know, a little bit of context about Noise Solution first, and you will also see through that presentation where our data is coming from. While you are watching this presentation, I want you to think about how normally when we collect data from people, it's done after something happens. It's normally a feedback form or it's, a survey. This is very, very different. We are establishing here a new way of collecting data as it emerges from the work that we are doing without using feedback forms. So I want you to sort of hold that in mind when I talk. Noise Solution is a social enterprise, as Frederick said, and essentially what we do is make music with young people. but we do quite a lot of that. It's one-to-one mentoring. We're currently doing around about 800 hours a month of this one-to-one mentoring, and that work happens in the home or in studios. It looks like this, essentially. We get referred young people who might really be struggling with their mental health, probably not in school, and we go to wherever they are, and we make music with them. The point is not the making of the music. The point is us doing something alongside them where we can build a relationship with them. All of the clinical evidence around improving mental health or good approaches to education is very, very clear that relationships are actually the really, really important thing in getting any kind of success. Talking of success, we have been quite successful over the years. We've won or been recognised, but mostly won, around 25 national awards in the last 6 years for the work that we're doing because of the data we're able to collect and demonstrate in terms of the outcomes that we are getting. We're also sort of fairly regularly publishing that work as well. Of interest is this award. Recently, I say recently, the last year or two, we beat Microsoft in the Digital Revolution Awards, which is a national awards around AI innovation, which I will come to in a minute. I won't worry about the scale of the organization and how many hours we're doing, doesn't really matter. But what this is indicative of is how much data we are collecting. This work where we meet a young person in the room and make music with them is only half of the story. It's really important as a half of the story, but there's another element to what we do as well. When I first started Noise Solution in 2009, it was really clear we had to be able to demonstrate the outcomes of the work that we were doing to whoever was going to pay us to do the work. So what I started doing then was blogging each session using Tumblr. And I would capture the highlights of what happened in a session, and I would capture a quick chat with the young person at the end of a session about how it was for them, what it made them think and feel. And I would invite in their parent and their carer or their mental health worker or their teacher as well to be part of that story so that they could see what was going on. Now, initially, it was just about capturing what happened. But what became really, really clear really quickly was that it was part of the reason we were seeing really significant changes in the well-being and mental health of the young people we were working with. We now know why that is, but I think it's important to understand that context. We have now, over the years, I say we, Damien, let's be clear, has helped us build a digital infrastructure that means that we now have our own social media platform private to us as an organization. When I say social media platform, I don't mean it's something where everybody can see what everyone else is doing. That's not the case. Each young person has a private feed that's just their digital story that they choose who they share with. So it's mostly, again, family, social workers, mental health workers. But the same principles are underpin it all. Essentially, the musician that's working with the young person captures the good bits of what they're doing, but then has a chat, a discussion, a talk at the end of each session, like this, as you can see here, where they talk about what's working and what's not working. And that's where, when I said we have developed a way of capturing data where information and data emerges from the work that we're doing, that's what I mean. All of this work that we are doing, the way we work with young people, these digital stories, the inclusion of the families, all of that is an evidenced approach that is underpinned by something called self-determination theory. Self-determination theory is arguably the world's most well-evidenced understanding and framework of how we improve well-being. And essentially, this theory and practice and research that has, I think, 1.8 million citations in the academic literature, it's massive, it basically describes how these three basic psychological needs of people feeling that they have choice and autonomy in what they're doing, that they are done with and not done at, where people experience competence, that they have something to contribute, that they are good at something, and where they feel connected and seen by other people. These three basic psychological needs are massively important, and for Noise Solution, they inform everything we do. And they also inform what we are trying to demonstrate in terms of the impact and the outcomes that we are having. So when we talk about Noise Solutions work, the musician allowing the young person to choose what kind of music that they make, to choose what gets posted on their digital story, to choose who they share it with, that autonomy is really, really important. And often these young people have had their autonomy stripped away from them by systems who are basically labeling them as a problem to be solved, that they need to do what they are told to become better, to be fixed. So this ability to give them autonomy is actually really, really important. The competence that we allow them to feel comes from the fact that, you know, we are using often digital music tools to allow them to feel successful. So they don't need to learn notation or scales or how to play a violin or an oboe. We don't do any of that. We are making hip hop and drum and bass and grime and drill music. And they're using computers to do it. So they don't need to learn those other things. We can get very, very quick wins that sound great really, really quickly. And the relatedness element, that sort of third pillar, if you like, ahead of the autonomy and the relatedness, sorry, the competence, that comes from the relationship with the musician in the room, but also these digital communities that we create around each young person. That's a really brief overview. We've got much more detailed written peer-reviewed literature and publications on how that all works, and you can delve into that if you want. That would be amazing. But I think the point I'm trying to get across is we're delivering 800 hours plus a month of this, and the young people we are working with are recording these 4 to 5 minute reflections after each session or within each session, at the end of each session, which are full of qualitative data, which we've been working out how to get at for a very, very long time. I will say the last piece of work that we did with you was all about how we visualize the quantitative data that we collect. We use an NHS, National Health Service, validated well-being tool to measure well-being. This was actually a piece of work from one of you guys last time. This is a visual representation of the last 500 young people that we worked with. Each of these lines is a young person. The bottom is their start score using this validated scale, and the top of the line is their end score. And anything in green is a meaningful impact on well-being according to the academic literature. This has been massively useful in demonstrating population change of well-being. Just that one graphic has been absolutely fantastic in being able to explain to a local government system or authority or a mental health team how much impact we are having. This is the kind of stuff that you people do that has a real significant impact in our ability to demonstrate the impact of what we're doing. So we've kind of nailed the quant stuff, although I'd be really interested for people to have continue to look at it and see how we can work out a way to overlay the qualitative stuff that we are collecting, because this is kind of the exciting bit. These video reflections that we collect on a weekly basis, and I think we've currently collected over 1,000. Is that right, Damien?
Yeah.
And growing since we started collecting them. We can now use generative AI to analyze these conversations, to use self-determination theory to look for what young people are saying that is related to autonomy or competence or relatedness, pull out descriptive quotes from them about things that they are saying that relate to these basic psychological needs, and we can track changes in them over time. which is really, really exciting. Like rather than feedback forms and bolted on analysis at the end of the work, we're talking about evidence of outcomes emerging from conversations as they happen in real time, which is, as I say, hugely exciting. And we can pull out a sense of what impact that's having on autonomy or competence or relatedness, which is, as I say, fantastic. I'm going to play a very short sort of 3-minute film that hopefully will make that a bit clearer rather than me sort of waving my arms around and flapping my arms and talking about it off the cuff. But here's a little quick film, and then I'm going to pass over to Damien, who's going to talk to you about the data that we've got and how we can overlay that.
Because we understand how best to improve well-being, each week the young people we work with reflect on how they're feeling, recording short videos at the end of each session, playing their music and discussing their personal progress with their mentors. If they choose to, they upload these videos to our secure platform. Over time, these reflections form a digital story, which they share with their families and caseworkers. All the young people we work with do this. That's hundreds of hours of detailed reflection.
I feel like I might not need to stop like this.
It's just been leaps about.
That was cool.
The breadth of all this feedback is simply too much for humans to process and analyse. So we've developed a unique way to gain insight into the lives of these young people.
I think it's more about doing it than singing it.
Are you glad you pushed yourself to do it though?
Yeah. I'm proud of myself.
Ideally, what we'd love to be able to do is sit and watch every one of those videos, listen to what people are telling us, pull out the kind of salient points that are important to us as an organisation, put those together as a kind of participant population, and then make decisions based on qualitative impact data. We could send out a feedback form with 1 to 10 smiley faces. How did you feel? Yes, very nice, thank you. It gives us some information, but we're not listening to what people are telling us. Instead, what we've done is leveraged the power of generative AI in a responsible, in an ethical way. We're a social purpose organisation. We exist to make social change. We're able to take all of those videos now, strip out the audio, convert that audio to text, send that anonymized transcript up to GPT with a very carefully crafted prompt to say, right GPT, I want you to look for a sense of autonomy. How in control did that person feel? I want you to look for a sense of competence. Did they feel good at what they were doing? I want you to look for a sense of relatedness. How connected to and seen by other people did they feel? And I want you to return 2 things. I want you to return unstructured text data. Here's the most positive sentence. That's fabulous for us because we can then track from point 1 to point 10, how did those values change? So the reason that's important is because it will start to give us insights based on qualitative data, not just quantitative number data.
Noise Solution is able to take the transcripts of each person's video reflections and use AI to analyse what they're telling us, providing the numbers and stories that show how the sessions are working.
Out of all the therapies and things and talking to my mental health team, this has probably been the most helpful tool that I've been given to use and sort of as a diversion from feeling certain ways and doing certain things. So it does work.
How do we measure people's feelings? I think we're now in a position to be able to do that.
So we might be able to measure them. Oh, hang on a second. I need to stop the film.
Because we...
So we might be able to measure them, but how do we demonstrate that to other people, I guess, is the big question that we're trying to solve. Damien.
So, hi everyone, Damien, Operations Director at Noise Solution, which basically means I do all of the boring but important stuff around data and systems and kind of making all of that stuff work. I've got no flashy slides and videos and stuff to show you, but I do have data to show you, so let's do that. So If we start with, you've got 3 data sets. One is a demographic data set of demographic data that we've got available. One is quantitative data and one is qualitative data. This UIN column relates to a unique identifier number, which relates back to an individual. This number is consistent across each data set. And then we're providing you with age, gender, what sector that person has been referred to from us, if any of these data are available. You will see that these data repeat. You'll need to do something fancy with Excel to kind of keep one row for each UIN. It's because these are coming from individual analysis records, which we'll look at shortly. The quantitative data looks at the unique identifier number for an individual, looks at a session ID number for an individual. You will see here that this session ID number is repeated 5 times. The reason for that is because we're using AI, there is some inherent variability in the decisions that the AI engine makes. So if we drop a marble down one of those things with lots of pins sticking out, it will end up in roughly the same place at the bottom, but once it might go 1 slot to the left or 1 slot to the right. So we're running it 5 times on each session to try and get over some of that variability. You'll see here that these numbers are fairly consistent, and I think as we collect more data, we might turn this repetition down a bit and do it, I don't know, 3 times or something. This session analysis name relates to a unique ID for this particular session record. So when we ran session 26191 for person 3467, the first time we got these scores. When we ran it the second time, we got these scores, etc., etc. So it's the same session 5 times, and we should be taking averages of these numbers per session. If the young person says, at the end of the reflection video, the musician will often ask, give it a rating out of 10. If the young person says 10 or 9.9 in this case, it will record that rating here. So this is a direct utterance from the young person that says, I think this session was 9.9. If they don't say that, it's null. So it's either present or it's not present. These 3 qualitative columns are the AI engine's assessment of that young person's sense of competence, autonomy, or relatedness on a scale between 1 and 9, where 1 is the lowest, 1 is that sense has been frustrated, and 9 is that sense has been fully satisfied from this conversation, with 5 being a midpoint. So it's doing that across competence, across autonomy, across relatedness, 5 times for every session for each young person. So you will see that this young person has had a number of sessions. And Frederick, I think it might be useful actually to add a date column in here so we can see when sessions have happened and track change over time. So I can do that and give you the updated data set, and it will be a date time field of when the session took place.
Sounds good.
Alongside that, we're pulling out, as Simon mentioned, the most positive and most negative sentences that people have said in that particular reflection video. These are verbatim. These are what people have said. Mostly, they should be what the young person has said. Sometimes it will pick out what the musician said. This is very early days for us in terms of these data. But you will see we've got the same UIN number, which relates to the quantitative data, which relates to the demographic data set. You'll see we've got the same session ID number, which relates to the same session ID number in the quant data set, and you will see it's running it the same number of times. So we're asking the engine to pull out the most positive thing that somebody said about their autonomy, about their competence, about their relatedness overall, and then if they're pulling out any negative sentences, it will pull those out as well.
I'm not seeing
You
the
will-
sheet anymore, Damien. Are we supposed to be?
What sheet are you not seeing? Are you
Um,
seeing the qualitative sheet now?
I'm not seeing. I'm just seeing everybody else. I'm not seeing. It doesn't look like the screen's being shared.
No, we can see. I can see.
Oh, weird.
Oh.
Just me then.
And you were just
Excellent.
offline for a few minutes, like your camera was off, so maybe it's something
Okay.
on your end.
Okay, cool.
I did it deliberately to stop you asking irritating questions. That's why.
I'll just mute me. Just mute me.
So yeah, you will see the most positive things people have said, the most negative things people have said, and then some overall stuff. If it hasn't picked anything out, it will just leave that blank. But the threads that are running through these data sets are these three unique fields, which are common across all three data sets. Somewhere, you've also got the data dictionary, which talks a bit about what we do. And then I've tried to explain what each of those columns are under each data set. And I'll update this as well with that session start date. Any questions from anybody? I'm aware I've thrown a load of data at you in quick succession.
That's why we open questions. Simon has got a question.
Are we also going to include the whole transcript of each conversation? For context that we could surface if somebody wanted to dive into it.
So we talked about that. Yes, we can. It's quite complicated programmatically to get it out of the system.
Okay.
For boring but important technical reasons.
Okay.
If you can do it, Simon, we'll do it.
Right. Or maybe we consider that as a next something to look at as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dennis is next. Hi, Dennis. How are you? Nice to see you.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Good morning, good afternoon, good night.
Good night.
I'm curious about the quantitative data that's coming out of the qualitative videos. And so you're using the generative AI and it somehow senses or, picks up cues or things that the participant says, things like that, and it ascribes a quantity, like a number based on each of the three domains. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
this is fairly cutting edge. So I'm wondering, I'll be curious because I'm a social work professor, so we're more used to like scales and things like that, instruments. And so I'll be curious about like the validity and things like that of kind of what it's actually measuring and stuff. But
it's something. It's very early days, Dennis.
Yeah.
We want to validate it, obviously. We've collected a whole bunch of validated well-being scale data before. Ideally, what we need to do is build a data set where we can compare the two and start to look at how we do validate it. And we've got lots of academic partners in the wings, if you like. I did a whole bunch of work at Cambridge looking at how we demonstrate these outcomes as well. Happy to talk to you about that offline.
No. I'm this is
it's a really
exciting
good point.
stuff, but it's just very interesting, intriguing, also kind of scary and nerve-wracking as well, right?
The other thing we should absolutely say and make very, very clear is this is version 1 that we've built over the last 6 years. Essentially, version 2 that is about to go online uses a small language model. None of the data goes to OpenAI. It sits on an environmentally sustainable data server. It's wild. It solves all of those AI anxiety questions that you might have. And this work will be directly applicable to plugging into that once we get that up and running. But we're doing early testing with it in the next couple of weeks.
And someone mentioned sentiment analysis, which I'm familiar with as well. But I've never really seen a whole lot of sentiment analysis that kind of picks out things that are specific to specific domains or dimensions, right? Like it's usually positive, negative, things like that. Whereas these are like three very complicated dimensions. So it's a very interesting work. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of ask questions about it, but thank you.
Cool.
I think Estefany, you have a question? Go ahead.
It's for me, Stephanie, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm just new. Thank you for the explanation. It was really nice, and I think it's a nice project per se, with a lot of interesting stuff inside. I have a question related to, in general, how it's organized these sessions with the participants. How long does a participant stay into the program?
So the minimum amount that we do with each young person is 20 hours. And those sessions are 2 hours long. So it's normally a 10-week program. However, the average time that we stay with a young person is, I think, 34 hours. So some we will do more work with, some will just finish there. It really, really depends on the circumstances of that young person.
Yeah. So, and that's interesting to know. You said that no, I don't know, someone said that perhaps they could add the dates so we know which sessions have, if it's the first session or the last session they have, because probably the sense of completeness or the autonomy is going to change, and that's what we want to see, right?
Yeah.
You say I have two questions more. The first one is that you have made that in the model have been have processed the 5 times the transcripts, right? Is the same model, or have you tried different models? Is the same with the same parameters?
Yeah, so this data set is the same model 5 times.
Yeah. Okay, it's the same. And yeah, my last question. Do you want to know, like, with this data, with this qualitative data, you want that a way to show that you are doing impact, specifically in those three areas, right? You want to show, you want something that complement the well-being scale to show that you are really changing the people. Yeah, just to.
Yeah.
So no, I know which is the goal, so I know where I can focus on the
Yeah. But we're also fairly open to interpretation, and we found that worked best with the last project that we did. I think what we're trying to achieve is taking a relatively complex data set and using interesting ways and ideas to tell the story of those data that people can understand.
Do I have the liberty or the freedom to just put away certain data points because they are not complete? For example,
I mean, I don't know from like Frederick and Vanetha's point of view, but from our perspective, we're giving you a data set to do interesting stuff with, and we're interested to see what you come up with. We've got no defined end goal.
Yeah,
I would say if you come across anything in the data, best to just throw the question back in Slack rather than make an assumption on it that might just take it way off. I think Damien and Simon can help you answer or guide you if you do find anything anomalies or outliers in the data.
Yeah, because I see that the model I was reading already the data, and I see the model have in some moments many times just throw things like, yes, and I use that too. And I was like, what I'm gonna, with these specific phrases, some of the phrases have not too much sense alone per se. So I was like, okay, there is any qualitative, no, quality analysis done. Sorry, my Dutch. Any quality analysis have been made to check that, or should I be already really wary?
Yeah,
And check.
you're seeing raw data.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
to Vanita's point, make sure you got access to our Slack. I put a question in the chat. You can use Slack. I'll show you in a minute how the project works, the mechanic, but we've got 4 to 5 weeks. So Damien and Simon will be in Slack monitoring your questions. The data is already in Google Drive, so you can grab the data. Maybe wait a bit for Damien to upload the new version of the dates. But any questions, any concerns, anything you find you want to share, put that in the Slack channel. So give me your email address if you can't get in. You can tag Damien and Simon. I don't know. Damien will be the one in charge looking at the questions, but I think that's the value of our project is the communication back and forth between Damien, Simon, and the volunteers.
Yeah, and Slack's the most useful place for that for us.
No email. Email is a bit too annoying. You guys have more questions?
Oh, I actually do have a question. Are you using the same process to identify sort of key points of what the musician is saying as well, like in terms of how they're encouraging the youth, and are you doing any correlations?
We are not at the moment, but we would like to in the future. When I've done hand-coded thematic analysis of sessions, which I did about 100 a while ago, it was really, really clear how competent, supportive the musicians were being in what they were saying. But yeah, that would be a really useful further piece of work that we will be doing, but not at the moment.
Baby steps, right? I mean, this is a huge, from where I stand, I think it's not a baby step. This is amazing to hear this, because you're right, like the voices, the data is everywhere, and it's not just, as you said, in the form.
But there's so much more data that we're collecting as well, and that we want to collect. So, I mean, we don't want to your point around musicians, parents, professionals, are commenting on those sessions as well. So that data is there. The musicians are writing reports about what happened in the sessions. That data is there. But yeah, one thing at a time.
Right. Do you follow the journey of the youth after they've left your program, or do they come back for an interview or anything like that?
Not particularly, or not in any kind of designed way. We hear back a lot from young people and families. I did also a thematic analysis of like 250 pieces of unsolicited feedback that we'd received over the last few years, which is on the website, which you can go and have a look. There are some astonishing stories in there. I mean, just as an example, we had a young woman get in touch after 6 years, who, when we started working with her mum had been told that she should expect that her daughter would be in acute mental health admission for the rest of her life. And she got back in touch 6 years later saying, I did 10 weeks work with you, and it was the thing that changed my life, and I'm now graduating from university. And we've got hundreds of those stories, hundreds of them.
Wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, so people get in touch. We try and follow up, and we have an automated follow-up thing, but the take-up rate is tiny, like almost negligible.
Yeah.
People want to move on, which is fine.
Sure. Yeah. It's always great to hear that. I mean, sometimes we volunteers get back in touch with us and saying that project we worked on, like, changed my career or changed something for me, right? And it's just so amazing to hear, like, and you don't get that in the numbers.
What will have happened is they will have experienced a sense of community, relatedness, and competence, and they would have had the autonomy to choose how they did it as well. So I would suggest that SDT lens is a very, very useful lens at which to work at how things, look at and evaluate how things are working.
Oh, that's a great idea. All right. One more thing to add to our huge list, Frederick.
Don't get me started. Any more questions about the data? Is you guys think about it? Otherwise, I can spend a bit of time showing you the way the process works, especially for the newbies in the room, and show you the project page. But just pausing for a couple of seconds. Any questions? Any burning questions? Usually questions come after, but that's why Slack is important. while you're warming up, I'm going to share my screen and show you a slide that can explain you the process. So it's really mostly for the new volunteers in the room. So we usually run project for 4 to 6 weeks. So you got time. We're really focusing on the impact. We want you to produce high impactful work. So obviously we started with Kickoff, which is today, tonight, this morning. Work happens in teams or individuals. So some people sometimes are just starting up and they're not too sure where to start. You can put a call on the Slack and say, oh, I'm new, I'm not sure where to start, and you can try to buddy with someone else. There might be some more experienced volunteers in the Slack group that might want to guide you as well and give you a hand. But there's no rules, it's either individual or as a group. And as we said, when we have questions, when we want to maybe showcase a mock-up or show a draft, use Slack as a primary communication channel. You can tag Damien, I think he gets notified. If it's a technical question about the project itself, you can tag Vanita and I, but otherwise use Damien and Simon as SMEs. They know what's going on. They produce data, so if you have that, just contact them. So we leave you for 4 weeks, roughly. I think the deadline is 21st of May from memory. On the project website, you'll see there's a web form where you can submit your work. It could be a data viz, it could be a piece of analysis. Someone at the previous project did a data viz and then a PDF or PowerPoint of a lot of pages of analysis. So basically wrote the analysis piece. So your work could be anything really. Visuals, but also analysis, analytics, and models or whatever. So you submit your work towards the end of the project. Try to be on time. Dennis is usually the only one who's late. He's always late. He forgets. But the deadline, I think, is 21st of May, but plus a couple of days. It's not a competition. The project doesn't close on the due date. But the idea is we'll give those submissions to Damien and Simon, and then we do a volunteer showcase. From memory, it's on the project page, I think it's the 29th of May. And Damien and Simon would pick 5 volunteers just because of the time we've got. So if we have 20 volunteers doing a project, we can't invite the 20 volunteers in a live call for an hour. Usually the volunteers have 15 minutes to present their work through a Zoom call. So if you're selected, we'll let you know closer to the date. But it's not a competition, but I think usually the not-for-profit, so in that case, Damien and Simon would pick the project the most impactful, the one that redrives the goosebumps type of thing. So there's so many different varied projects that they can only pick 5. So that's the way the project works. And usually at the end of the project, there might be some further work where Damien and Simon and our solution might want your solution to be embedded in their work. And that's what happened last time, 2 years ago, with the first project we run, and Damien, you can share the viz if you want on the Slack, where the volunteers met after the project and developed a dashboard that you guys use.
The link's already in the project brief.
Okay, cool, easy. So that's the way it works. We start with Kickoff 4 to 5 weeks, but reuse the Slack channel as a way to ask questions and to showcase your work as well. In terms of project page, so just in case, if you go to the home page and go to projects, the link is there as well. All the important information is in that document, in that page there. Obviously, there's a bit of introduction about no solution. You can download the detailed project brief. That's got a lot of information in there. The data is in Google Drive. So if you click on the link there, the data dictionary, the free Excel files are there. So Damien will update it today or soon with the date.
Yeah.
So don't get started right now. Maybe wait for the data. And Damien, I gave you right access, so you should be able to dump the file.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Folder. So Google Drive is there. The important date, as I said, deadline is the 22nd of May. as I said, it's usually 24 for Dennis because he's already late. But try to stick with 22nd of May, just because the time frame between the deadline and the selection and the showcase is quite tight. We want to give Damien and Simon time to analyze the submissions and select those 4 or 5 submissions. So we'd get together again the 20th of May. I suspect they'll be all around the same time, where we'll invite the 4 or 5 people and they'll present the screen and show the analysis. But we can work during the project as well. So if you want to showcase your work, put something in Slack as well. And what's important, as put it before, is the Slack channel is there. So if you don't have Slack, if you don't have access to our Slack, send me your email and I can give you access. But Slack is basically our go-to. So we got the channel there, and they basically tag Simon and Damien and ask questions there. And usually there's a lot of discussions happening in Slack. If you find an interesting article, if you find interesting data set, I think that's something I wanted to ask. Would volunteers able to use a different data set or to expand the stories, or do you prefer to stick to your data? Because sometimes it comes up where they find something online that could be quite useful, but are you guys fast about that, or you don't care?
No, we're open.
No, open. And so I think that's something that can be interesting. If someone finds interesting data set, just maybe put it on the Slack for everyone to contribute.
And if you are using it, make sure you source the data, because at the end of the day, then I think if it is going to be used, then they'll need to do, make sure it's a trusted source and so forth. Yeah, exactly. Do you have any questions about the actual process of the project? I think it's pretty straightforward, but sometimes for the newbies, it's a bit not tough to start, but you're not too sure where to start. So if you're in that, just reach to Vanita and myself, and we can have a chat offline as well if you're not too sure where to start. But any general question about the project, about the data, about Simon, about Damien, about the painting you got behind you, Simon? What are they?
We go. Camping stuff. People camping.
Cool.
And just to all the volunteers, I think one thing it's great you're all joining. All of your work is important. We find some people start looking at things and saying, "Oh, I'm not good enough." Imposter syndrome sets in, and so please don't feel that way, because everyone is at a different stage. Even though you're a data professional, maybe working for 10, 15 years, you may not have had the opportunity to work on a project like this. And so for you, you think you're starting from the beginning. So just have fun, collaborate, but don't feel like, you're under pressure, and just have fun doing this. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes we have someone who just started learning a tool and their visual gets picked because they've looked at the data, they thought through it and really put the impact forward. And so, we see all kinds. So just be confident and then have fun during the process. Yeah, it's all about learning and helping. Yeah, tool agnostic. So use any tool you want. If you want to learn about that tool, or if you master that tool, whatever, anything works. Yeah, we actually presented about Noise Solution at the conference 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Time flies. So sometimes a small thing can happen or big thing can happen where you participate, you get selected or not, it doesn't matter, but you have fun, and then you can present that to a panel or something.
I think the last time we did this, somebody won an award, didn't they, for the work that they'd done on the project?
Yeah, exactly. Would have been Sarah, I think. So, any more questions before we close off? I might just stop recording.
Hello?
Yeah. Do you have a question?
Yeah. I have one question only. I want to ask, please, are this project only available for people that are living in UK?
Well, the actual music project, or the project we're talking about here?
Mm-hmm. The project we speak about here, about the voice and the music to create the people.
This is global.
Working with young people, that work is just, for Noise Solution, is just happening in the east of England. But there are organizations doing similar-ish work, but without the digital story element all over the world. that I'm connected
Okay,
to.
and it's only for adult or minors, for example.
The work we are doing is I think the youngest we do is 11, but there's
11.
no upper age limit. We work with people for as old as they want to be. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good question. Last one before we wrap. It could be our time. Oh, good.
So, good.
Simon, Damien, thanks a lot. Have a good afternoon. It's probably 1 p.m. in where you are. It's bedtime for me. It's coffee time for Vanita, and something in between for everyone. Thanks a lot. So don't be shy. Yeah, just connect on Slack, and then we get back together somewhere in May for the showcase. Thanks, everyone.
Great.
Awesome.
Have a great weekend. Okay, bye.
Have a good day.